1738. I'm like, hey, what's up? Hello. Sit your pretty ass up as you came in the door.
You're listening to Distroism Now, a new monthly podcast from It's Going Down, where every episode is hosted by a different distro. We're your hosts, the Feeler Collective from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Don't fucking move here.
This time is coming like a ghost town. All the clubs are being closed down. This place is coming like a ghost town. Bands won't play no more. Too much fighting on the dance floor.
That track was, of course, Ghost Town by The Specials. And yes, you guessed it. Tonight's show is going to be all about getting you and your fucking crew into the ungovernable Halloween spirit.
Over the next hour,
we'll be sharing some of the ghost stories that Pittsburgh's tried to bury beneath its bullshit progressive image. We'll be talking Distroism with the Portland Litter Bloc. Yeah, fuck you, we're interviewing them. And we'll be listening to some of our favorite punk, hardcore, crust, and hip-hop tracks. Because music is more important than reading theory ever will be.
Is Etsy Distroism? No. We didn't nominate Etsy. Yeah. I think so.
I think so too. I mean, we did Bandcamp Distroism for a while.
We should nominate some live laugh fucker off Etsy for the next.
Actually, yeah. Distroism
Just
Now,
like
hosted by
fucking, I don't know, somebody
Like-
that makes stamps.
or somebody that makes like
Ink, you know what I mean?
evergreen tree back patches and like crescent moon back patches.
whole lot of possums on them.
No, I want somebody who makes wreaths or some shit.
Fuck that.
Coming up next, we've got our all-time favorite ghost story. But first, here's a song by a Philly crust band called Cop Problem.
If anyone listening happens to know someone who played in Cop Problem back in like 2011, 2012, do me a favor and tell them that the crime thing zine they gave me at a show over a decade ago ruined my fucking life and that you heard it on It's Going Down.
With the barrels of their guns, no mercy for anything, no sympathy for
insurrectionary legacy of Pittsburgh's Lost Island.
In Pittsburgh, there's an area called The Point where the Allegheny and Monongahela rivers converge into the Ohio. It's a pretty famous scenic view, and even if you're not a tourist, it can be a nice place to hang out and look up at the three converging river valleys surrounding you. Sometimes when I'm at The Point, looking out at the Ohio River, I notice my gaze shifting to the right, over to the north side. I catch it and wonder, why am I staring at the Science Center? It's not even that hot of a building. And I try to look back out at the water. I blink, and the next thing you know, I'm staring over at the north side again, this time at the casino. I never really thought much about staring out that way until I started hearing stories about the island and what used to be there.
The island was a couple hundred yards out to the northeast side of the point. It was a little wooded patch of land that rested about 70 yards from the north side, leaning a quarter mile into the Allegheny and maybe a football field wide. The island's most striking feature was its great hill, a small space on the upper end that was oddly clear of most foliage except overgrown grass. When British forces came to the point to attempt to capture Fort Duquesne in 1755, the Delaware and Shawnee people held their war council on the island. After the Battle of Monongahela, the native warriors returned to the island with prisoners. While we can assume most surviving accounts have been embellished to dehumanize the indigenous peoples and advance a colonial agenda, we can also acknowledge the validity of all forms of native resistance to colonization and genocide. The Delaware and Shawnee warriors are said to have tortured and burned the captured colonizers alive in great bonfires atop the island's hill in full view of Fort Duquesne. At night, the fires reflected brightly across the surface of the Allegheny, and some records claim the tortured screams kept soldiers awake until morning. When day finally broke, the soldiers did their best to keep their eyes from wandering over to the plumes of smoke rising above the island. Settler legends claim that the island was known to native tribes as the Dark Place because they only gathered on the island to channel spirits of war against their encroaching civilization. To the settlers themselves, the little strip of land was known simply as Smoky Island.
After the 7 Years' War, Fort Duquesne fell to the English and became Fort Pitt, and the city of Pittsburgh began to take form. But even before the war between colonizers came to a close, many native peoples recognized that this moment offered an opportunity to strike back in the greater war for their land. The region remained a hotbed for indigenous insurgency for years to come, and Smoky Island became an essential part of this insurgent strategy, especially during Pontiac's rebellion. From the perspective of Fort Pitt at the point, the island's hilltop was a natural blind spot. For native warriors advancing from the north side, Smoky Island was a critical staging ground for hit-and-run raids against Fort Pitt. As word spread and new native uprisings gained steam across the region, what the settlers initially dismissed as Pontiac's conspiracy grew into a full-blown insurrection. An insurrection that many historians believe could have pushed the English all the way back to Philadelphia if it weren't for the tragedy at Fort Pitt.
They forced my grandma to the city and divorced her from the forest, so we learned to put in work while you worked on your performance. We were always hated, congregating with the poorest of killers that fire a wheel just to try to feel important. Trying to escape these prisons while you living for the warden. And we got lost because our conscience couldn't ignore it. So while you selling out, I hope you know we can't afford it. These stories we bringing forward are ones that are not rewarded with awards and accolades. It's history not recorded. Something that came before all these foreigners were important. So take warning. See, we were born in the basement, below the concrete, where honestly we don't take shit and we don't say shit. When we bout to make them moves crack, all this was by design, and now it's time to bring them wolves back. Wolf dancing on some more shit, ski mask with a full clip. And if you acting funny, anybody can get ghosted. If you part of the problem, you honestly won't get the shit I say, cause I awaken ancient conversations while I river bait. Different day, the same principles will apply. Our existence was never written, and history's full of lies. Our resistance on the front line, don't apologize or forgive. Not many are people left, cause few were allowed to live. I ain't proud of it either. Now I'm surrounded by heathens who ain't afraid to bring the power out and are down to get even. What? I think I'm crazy, but we need to wait a sec. We in the sticks, wolf dancing, trying to raise the dead. With my family of savages, bringing native back. If you want it, ain't a problem, we can bang it out. Wolf dancing, huh?
I pushed myself off to the forest and divorced my fucking city. For reason of infidelity, I will not show no pity. The cedar trees were calling, so my spirit got the mob and dropped our paddles in the water, pulling forward with the sharks, man. Dead to the machine like dead presidents, stamped on green. Only savages in my circle, my family is moving mean. No characters in the scene, cut the lights and we killing dreams. Now I'm dancing with clown wolves and we strictly opposing peace. We don't honor the legal system, legality's not important. My children will grow up watching me burning them with the torches. Corpses on top of courts. Am I supposed to think they important? Hell nah, I let them burn like the crosses that they enforcing. I might get shot for that. Fuck it, I'm shooting back. And Loki got my back. Oh yeah, we thundered that. My finger trigger itching. I guess it's smoking season. And we gon' show these motherfuckers how we deal with treason.
Wolf dancing, huh?
Under the command of Colonel Henry Bouquet, the besieged English forces at Fort Pitt called parley rather than admit defeat. They requested the Delawares send 2 representatives in the fort so they could begin negotiations. On June 24, 1763, colonial forces provided the native delegates with 2 blankets and a handkerchief. The ensuing smallpox outbreak was, in a word, genocidal. After the Revolutionary War, colonizers tried to solve the problem of this eerie, still undomesticated island by giving it as a gift to Chief Killbuck of the Delaware. Naturally, they did so without transferring any legal titles of ownership in his name. Chief Killbuck was quickly chased off his land by his settler neighbors, but for a time, local authorities referred to the strip of land as Killbuck's Island, perhaps hoping its nickname would soon be forgotten. This would not be the case. The island remained relatively untouched by settlers until the year 1818, when David Morgan and his family built a small cabin on the land. Morgan had considered settling there for some time, but his family was hard to convince. In the first few nights, they camped out on the island. His family was frightened by, as he put it, the melancholy cry of the loons sporting in the waters of the Allegheny, by owl hoots, and by other weird sounds. Eventually, Morgan convinced his wife and 4 kids there was nothing to fear, and the family lived happily on Killbuck Island for some time. That is, until one autumn evening in 1820. After putting their children to bed, Morgan and his wife rowed their little boat to the mainland to enjoy a night out with some neighbors. At some point in the night, Mrs. Morgan heard faint screams coming from the direction of the Allegheny. She shot up and ran outside, her husband and her friends not far behind. In the distance, a great bonfire again lit the sky around Smoky Island. By the time they made it back, flames had already devoured the Morgan family home. All 4 children were burned alive, the fire's cause unknown. Ownership of Smoky Island continued changing hands until 1874, when leading citizens of Allegheny County announced plans to build a permanent exposition of the arts, sciences, and industries of Western Pennsylvania. Construction for the Tradesmen's Industrial Institute began shortly after. The project was massive, representing the first major cultural site of its kind in the region. In 1877, the hall came under the auspices of the newly formed Pittsburgh Exposition Society and was expanded to 1,000 feet long and 150 feet wide. If the Tradesmen's Industrial Institute were still standing today, the building's size and glamour would rival the Carnegie Museum of Natural History. In October 1883, the Pittsburgh Exposition Society planned to host one of the largest industrial expositions in history. The Exposition Society modeled their event after the World's Fair and invited companies from all over the world to showcase the latest in labor-saving technology. Wealthy socialites and industrialists from far and wide traveled to Pittsburgh to attend. But sometime in the night of October 2nd, 1883, the Tradesmen's Industrial Institute mysteriously burned to the ground. Damage estimates were in the excess of $1 million. That's in 1883 money. So today, that's in the ballpark of $30 million. The exact cause of the fire was never determined. Oh hey, and funny coincidence, did you know the International Workingmen's Association, better known as the Anarchist Black International, held one of their first conferences in Pittsburgh's North Side in October 1883?
That track was Eternal War by Storm of Sedition from their 2019 album, Howl of Dynamite. The mysterious destruction of the Industrial Institute dominated newspaper headlines in October 1883. Meanwhile, a few hundred yards from Smoky Island, the Black International debated the first manifesto of the global anarchist movement, or the Pittsburgh Proclamation as the document came to be known. To quote,
"What we would achieve is, therefore, plainly and simply, first,
destruction of the existing class rule by all means, by energetic, relentless, revolutionary, and international action.
Second, establishment of a free society based on cooperative means of production.
We can go see movies for free now! Anarchy!
That last great bonfire in October 1883 would prove to be Smoky Island's final performance. Throughout the Gilded Age, the 70-yard channel separating this defiant little island from the north side became a dumping ground for industrial waste, and in 1883 it was already rapidly accumulating enough junk and soil to fill the entire gap. At the turn of the 20th century, Smoky Island was completely landlocked.
Today, few remember the story of Pittsburgh's lost island. That's because they try to bury it in concrete.
Anything that does not fit the narrative of progress is paved over and replaced with new monuments. You know, all that shit that Carnegie slapped his name on. These monuments define Pittsburgh's historical and cultural identity. They function like religious sites, attaching explanations of modern life to the skyline itself. The downtown courthouse, the symbolic center of law and order, is built upon the flattened earth of a sacred Adena burial mound. Bouquet Street in Oakland is named for Henry Bouquet, the man who gifted the smallpox-infected blankets to the Delaware during the siege of Fort Pitt. The city's infrastructure is imbued with narrative arcs that reproduce the world we inhabit, the world we construct our lives within. The old saying, history is written by the victors, might be taken literally when all the schools, libraries, and museums are named for them. The ghosts of ruling class past are mumbling their narratives and ideologies in our ears every time we walk around their parts of town.
You didn't build this. This world isn't yours. You work for us. You've always worked for us. Your stability depends on us. Your life belongs to us. You're just like your parents, and their parents before them. You need us.
There used to be an island where the waters of the Allegheny, Monongahela, and Ohio meet. And for over 100 years, this island haunted the colonizers and capitalists who tried to claim it. But Smoky Island is still there.
Beneath the Science Center, beneath the casino parking lot, beneath the concrete.
listening to Distroism Now on It's Going Down. That was True Widow. Up next is Gang of Four.
How can I sit and eat my tea with all that blood flowing from the television? At 5:45, I watch the news. Eating all my food as I sit watching the red spot in the egg, which looks like all the blood you don't see on the television.
Still body now, no movement yet. 5 men die flat on their backs. Were they born to lie in state? Defend the ever stagnant great. Down on the street, assassinate. All of them look so desperate. Keep their blood raw on the bourgeois state. Watch new blood on the 18-inch screen. The corpse is a new personality. Ionic charge gives immortality. The corpse is a new personality. Down on the street, assassinate. All of them look so desperate. Keep their blood raw on the bourgeois state.
Watch new blood on the 18-inch screen. The corpse is a new personality. Watch new blood on the 18-inch screen. The corpse is a new personality. Watch new blood on the 18-inch screen. The corpse is a new personality. Watch new blood on the 18-inch screen. The corpse is a new personality. Watch new blood on the 18-inch screen. The corpse is a new personality.
Guerrilla war struggle is a new entertainment. 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 Guerrilla war struggle is a new
Is there an ashtray or some shit? There. Okay. Oh shit, yo, guys, you know what would be cool to have on the podcast?
Nah, what?
Just got the submission emailed to us. I was thinking maybe we could check it out and talk about it or something.
Okay, well, that depends.
Yeah, what's it about?
Hold on. It's just a blank email with a link to a PDF on a crypt pad. Let me just bring that up real quick and... excuse me, a crypt drive PDF.
Yeah, this one's not great.
No, that's my favorite kind of shit. It's just like the crypt pad submissions. You're just like, all right. Oh shit. Okay.
Here we go.
Oh shit, is it a responsibility claim? Let me see.
Yo, holy shit, this dude's fucking legal name is in the metadata of this PDF. It's on his fucking MacBook. Yeah, I mean, I guess I could run it through Exif Tool. That's reversible, though.
Fuck, no way.
Jesus Christ, delete that, like, right now. I don't care how cool the rest of this shit is.
Fuck, dude, we're still fucking recording. Oh, no.
Can we just cut to more music or some
more
shit?
Music.
Or no, wait. We have a caller. We can bring the caller on the show.
All right, well, what's up, caller number 1? You're live here on Distroism Now.
Hey, yeah, hi, Filler. Hi, yeah, I'm just a little confused as to what distroism is exactly, and I was wondering if you could tell me if I'm doing it right. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. So the other day I was pouring kitty litter into my boss's gas tank, right? And I says to myself, I bet lighting one of them campfire starters on the top left rear wheel would result in a fuel tank explosion. And
okay, yeah, DCSC, my dude. Thanks for calling by.
We're going to fucking jail.
Yeah, that was even worse somehow. The emergency distro meeting, everybody, someone hit the buzzer.
Alright, so body's in electrical, kind of near the top left.
Next to the vent?
Yeah, next to the vent. Mm-hmm.
Okay, who all fixed lights?
I think I saw IGD, Crime Thick, A News, maybe?
Well, it sure as hell wasn't black and green.
Anyone in Medbay right now?
Yeah, actually, I passed DDoS from Submedia coming in from cafeteria.
Oh, shit. Okay, that's looking pretty sus.
That's pretty sus, DDoS.
No, guys, please. I swear I am crew.
I'm voting you, Submedia.
Yeah, me too.
It was not me. I was doing my tasks.
Yeah, right, DDoS.
See ya.
Damn. How did they know that I was the imposter among us? I guess I should introduce the next band, Existence from Minneapolis. Environmental degradation. Ecological collapse.
More bad. There you go.
So, did you guys see the Portland Litter Bloc?
No, I don't think so. That sounds like something that would come out of Portland, though.
Essentially, this crew in Portland dropped a video that pissed a lot of people off. It's a video montage of their crew just littering all over the place, knocking over trash cans and throwing city bikes over bridges. It's set to a tsunami track, just kind of straight ignorant beatdown.
Distroism?
Yeah, just straight, totally being distroism.
Wait, so that's like not a leftist campaign?
Yo, what if we just asked them?
Yo, Litter Bloc, what's up?
Yo, what's up?
What's the funnest part of being McTotal Litter?
I'd say the funniest part of Litter Bloc is all the people who take us seriously. this is something that we seriously believe in, and like all the beliefs we express are genuine. But the people who think that this is like our biggest contribution to fighting capitalism, the people who think that this is what anarchists consider praxis, I think it's really funny to see that reaction, because a lot of political tendencies don't make a lot of room for fun, and that's something I feel anarchists do really well, is that we like to have fun, and we don't take ourselves too seriously.
Why Litter Bloc?
Why Litter Bloc? It's a good question. It started when I was just tired of carrying around my trash. I was into like sticker art a lot, and like I was wondering like why I had to hold on to all the sticker backings, and like I noticed a friend doing it, and I realized like this does not really make a difference. And so I eventually like started thinking more and examining like the effects of littering and not littering, and I realized that like if anything, littering is a net positive for the environment, because like in a landfill, trash isn't able to break down correctly and it releases methane gas. I'm not saying littering is good. I think consumerism, littering or landfills is like devastating to the environment. But I do think littering is cool, and also I do know that trashing rich areas is very good. I want to make areas unappealing for yuppies and gentrifiers and tourists, and I want to keep Portland trashy. And so that, combined with being very bored and having access to Twitter, is what led to the creation of Litter Bloc.
What sort of reactions are you getting?
So we've been getting a lot of good reactions. It's sort of funny. Originally, when we just posted the thread about why we think littering is cool, it got like a ton of support. Like our notifications were flooded with support. But then when we posted a video of us actually littering, a lot of the people, to say the least, were it was more controversial. Yeah, it was sort of funny. Like it did get a good response, but it was sort of funny how we got a lot more support for talking about littering, and then when we actually did littering, like that's when people lost their minds. But I was sort of worried at first because a lot of like rad libs, a lot of like very like the people I was intending to make fun of were like down with it and they were liking it, and so I think the video was a good way to sort it out. It sort of was started to make fun of Team Raccoon PDX, not really, but Team Raccoon PDX is this like rad lib group that their famous contribution is picking up trash at protests. And so we thought it'd be funny to create a group that puts down trash as protest, but they said that like they actually like us because we were getting popular. And so I just replied to their tweet with like, fuck you, you cleaned up riots, because I think it's important to reject optics.
Thanks so much for talking with us, Litter Bloc. Your trash is our treasure. Happy Halloween.
Con
This next song is the first track off an Anarcho-Punk benefit compilation album that Chaos T Records released a few months back. Not only does this shit rip, but all the proceeds from the album directly support anarchists on the ground in Colombia. So support our troops and go pick up the album. You can find a link to the Bandcamp in the show notes for this episode.
You're listening to It's Going Down, part of the Channel Zero Anarchist Podcast Network. Follow us online at itsgoingdown.org and on Twitter at IGD_news. If you like and appreciate this podcast, go to itsgoingdown.org/shop and give us a one-time donation. Sign up to donate monthly or donate through Bitcoin. Again, that's itsgoingdown.org/shop to support. And now, back to the show.
Well, y'all dickheads brought home a microwave with no fucking power cord.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then just sat in the fucking kitchen for fucking 3 weeks until I threw it outside, which I don't know if that was a better decision or not.
We were told not to eat from that tree, or else we would die, said Eve. Die? What an ignorant thing to say, said the snake, all chewing on a blade of grass on the side of his mouth. If there is an escape hatch from paradise, then it isn't really paradise, is it?
from the tomb. The only certainty is impending doom. My body's alive. No pain, no pain, she's in a slave. No dreams and no nightmares, no pain and no peace. There will be no savior, and you will be the beast. From the cradle to the grave, from the womb to the tomb. The only certainty is certainly the only pending doom. I try to go and stop it in the end. It is the thought that's killing me and keeping up from being what I'm supposed to be. The hesitation, the reason, my fixation. Someone takes on time, first in and first out. And it's already 1600. We're the lost in, so lately. Every personic, born to fail. From cradle to grave, we pass as one. The world to die, we love and do. Set it up by the reading procedure. Save yourself to save my vexation.
Yo, these motherfuckers rock.
Yeah, okay.
Dude, they really.
Supremacists first played my house in 2017. Set was killer. They had like a Hello Kitty drum kit or some shit. No, it was a suitcase drum kit.
Suitcase. I played
a Hello Kitty
I
snare.
played a show with them like a few days before.
Yeah, because you were on that tour too, right?
No, we played with them like 3 days before that in Indy. It was fucking, yeah, it was fun. Those kids were cool.
And that was like 5 years ago. And this new album, I know you hate it when I say this, is the fuck World Trade for Zoomers. Like, I'm not even joking.
So fucking stupid.
It is fucking stupid, but like, think about like, when you first found fuck World Trade, it was like, it sounded different than anything you'd been listening to. The politics were different. It was edgy as all hell. I don't know.
The only reason I hate that is because I hate leftover crap.
Oh yes, like that scene's dead, and you can leave it in the mid 2000s.
Stiz is a bitch. Well, you're not supposed to say that.
So what you want? It's Distroism.
I'm not the only one.
Yeah. It's all about new folk now.
Yeah.
N-U umlaut folk.
It's not quite folk, definitely not folk. From wholesome to shit folk. This is you folk, just like we you folk. Already stopped. All over fresh meat, covering D&D. Expect the body, stop fucking fighting. Roll the trigger on it. Complete rent and fucking shit. Never knew we part of it.
A movement is a collection of stories. All of them are true, except for the ones people stop telling. The progressive narrative is only able to recuperate a social movement when it learns how to tell that movement's stories like they are already a part of its own history. Today, when most movements realize themselves in real time as spectators to their own lived experiences through viral social media narratives, their stories are captured and rewritten by the progressive wing of capital. Where else do people gather to tell stories these days? Where do you learn how to tell your own story? Do you want to?
You can send your submissions to filler_pgh@protonmail.com.
For many of us, there's always been something different about the month of October. But as we get older, it gets harder and harder to discern anything tangible to justify that feeling. And so it fades with each passing year. The historical fact that mischief, bonfires, and the blurring of identities has remained central to Halloween's character for over 2 millennia speaks to something deeply desirable about gathering communally and burning away the old world together. If you feel like you're losing some connection to this time of year, it's not just you. We are living in a third wave of anti-Halloween counterinsurgency.
If you want to read more about the ungovernable spirit of Halloween, check out the zine The Devil's Night. A link to the PDF is in our show notes. The Devil's Night traces Halloween's insurgent legacy, from its origins in the Dark Ages to the recurring arson sprees that rocked Detroit for decades after the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. in 1968. Next is Atlas. Run it up.
The new report says the world hit a record for carbon dioxide emissions.
People gonna put this shit up on a day or somebody gonna come collect this shit, I'm telling you.
Yesterday on the show, we spoke about the killing of Fernando Castillo.
The jury eventually found him not guilty.
The new report finds
police officer shooting and killing Philando Castro.
Okay, run it up, run it up, run it up, run it up. Fuck it up, run it up, fuck it up, run it up, fuck it up. They put all their debts on the tab and tell them to go run it up. Throw me in dirt in the rain and then scoff at the mud on us. Nah, fuck that. Run it up, run it up, run it up, run it up. Fuck it up, run it up, fuck it up, run it up, fuck it up. We hungry as fuck and they lunching on steak right in front of us. We taking that steak off your plate if you eat it in front of us.
This one goes out to the fat cats laughing on they lip and they peers with their fingers crossed like just wait one more year. Have no fear, Atlas is the captain of the planet here. I'm about to start the revolution. Get the fuck up out your chairs. I'm from the Detroit cemetery, bound with visionary. I can see the plots decided hiding in free market dairy. Cherry Harry make a show called Cops to make the Jerry Ferry. Then they pat their commas with the profit from my commissary. Take away my job, gave it to a black box, blame it on a Mexican to make the base hot so they don't get caught, pulling the wool on they fly, watch the uptick and they stop, then they go cruise on their yacht, watch, tell them to suck on my cock. Hold on, you don't know me, can't fool me with a rollie, type of nigga read Socrates, then smoke and go and have a OG, being patient, that's Toby, keep playing, I ain't joking, I kick in the front door, up your golf club with all of my homies,
Okay, run it up, run it up, run it up, run it up. Fuck it up, run it up, fuck it up, run it up, fuck it up. They put all their debts on the tab and tell them to go run it up. Throw me in dirt in the rain and then scoff at the mud on us. Nah, fuck that. Run it up, run it up, run it up, run it up. Fuck it up, run it up, fuck it up, run it up, fuck it up. We hungry as fuck and they lunching on steak right in front of us. We taking that steak off your plate if you eat it in front of us.
We live for the profit, we die for the profit. They hide all the profits so we cannot find it. We start up the ladder in hopes that we spot it. We get to the top, then they take out the bottom, and then we give all of our logic and power. The boxes that watch us, subliminals and products to cop all their products and prop up their profits, that prop up their puppets, that pop up in office and change all they laws. So they work for they boss and they don't want us watching them building they bounce. So they turn to their base and pray on their race problem because they know drama just like a narcotic. They serve it, then light it, then watch it start fighting, divided in tribes, and then while we all mobbing, there's no one to watch. I'ma stop them from working they rockets and now we all the other god. Big bang, Jerry dot on my name. Which way, that way, they don't do my thing. They don't like it when a nigga out his chain. Hold on, I'm a beast, nigga, I was never tame. Fuck, nigga, fuck it, what you fuck, nigga, type to sell your own mama for a buck, nigga. I don't know about y'all, but I ain't getting fucked, nigga. I'm better sleeping, dumping down, money up, nigga.
Okay, run it up, run it up, run it up, run it up. Fuck it up, run it up, fuck it up, run it up, fuck it up. They put all their debts on the tab and tell them to go run it up. Throw me in dirt in the rain and then scoff at the mud on us. Nah, fuck that. Run it up, run it up, run it up, run it up. Fuck it up, run it up, fuck it up, run it up, fuck it up. We hungry as fuck and they lunching on steak right in front of us. We taking that steak off your plate if you eat it in front of us.
It's rare to really get a chance to slow down and think about the place you live, how it's changing, how it's navigated, how the past is always present. And when you do, some things are just pretty fucking obvious. The Jags are spelling it out for us.
Pittsburgh was pivotal, if not the core
influence during the Industrial Revolution with automation, the production of steel, aluminum, glass. We essentially helped build the world.
Around the turn of the 20th century, over 500 perished in the factories each year. Their families rarely received compensation, and their coworkers were pretty unfazed. Historian Roy Lubov noted, quote,
"Few communities were so frequently compared to hell."
Pittsburgh is probably one of the best places in the world to develop a robot company.
If you've ever seen old photos of Pittsburgh, you'll notice that even the street lights worked overtime, pulling a double shift to cut through the smog. They shone day and night like they were fucking lighthouses, but for cars and pedestrians. On days when the pollution completely blacked out the sun, only the din of the steel furnaces lit up the sky as the soot and ash pluming from the smokestacks crackled with molten metal, kind of like a thunderstorm, but forever.
And it's only through places like the Pittsburgh Innovation District and the strategy that envelops that region. And these are exactly the kinds of insights that are going to redefine industries and economies.
The progressive narrative is the linchpin of their strategy. This narrative functions to reimagine all social conflict as two differing visions of progress that will gradually compromise to build the city we live in today, together. It is the narrative built into the foundations of all their museums, monuments, statues, libraries, factories, and schools. It's how their version of history can explain away unforgettable moments from the first Industrial Revolution, like the Battle of Homestead, and somehow avoid mentioning the key fucking issue, which is that this entire era's contradictions were never resolved. The smart city they are building may look all fancy and new and shit, but their sleek new economy promises the same old hell.
Pittsburgh's Oakland neighborhood has been called the best example of a naturally occurring innovation district. But in the technological age, the word innovation gets thrown around a lot.
Today, the historically black and working class community of East Liberty is rapidly being gentrified. Walnut Capital's Bakery Square in East Liberty is where tech giants like Google are now rolling out the new company town. But this time, it's green. This time, it's diverse. Pittsburgh is a progressive town. The Jags are doing it all over again. We're in the fourth industrial revolution. We're in the climate collapse. We're in the combination fourth industrial revolution climate collapse.
Alright, that's it for this first episode of Distroism Now, the show where every episode is hosted by a different distro, and new episodes come out whenever the fuck the hosts feel like releasing them. Once again, we're the Filler Collective from so-called Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Before we nominate a new distro to host the next episode of the show, we want to take a moment to clarify what the fuck Filler is, because that's the thing we do. The Filler Collective is not an organization. It's just an old distro project name with an established web presence. Since 2012, a small informal crew of anarchists have used the name Filler whenever it's convenient for our individual shit. We are only filler when we do filler things, or when we need a vouch when traveling. Filler Distro's current long-term projects are still the Counter Info site, the Zine Distro, and the DIY music label, which is maybe a couple cassette tapes lying around, and a Bandcamp. All the links for filler projects are in the show notes. The show notes also include a complete track list for the songs you heard on tonight's episode, and a disorganized list of citations for anyone looking to dive deeper into any of the topics we talked about. Probably some other shit. Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah, who cares? Good enough.
You know, it'd be pretty cool if the next episode was, like, just literally 45 minutes of harsh noise. Like, I think that's a good idea. It's going down. Better than this shit.
And you're invited. That's fucking hilarious to me. I don't care if anyone else thinks it is.
What the fuck?
Shit, yeah, speaking of the next episode, though, we gotta nominate, someone, for the role of host, producer, and bottom liner to make this show, Distroism Now, happen. Yeah, Filler Distro hereby nominates Counterflow Distro. Air horns.
Sick. We done yet?
Nah, it's time for the spooky, sincere outro. Some ghost stories make us laugh. While others linger, even after the story ends, creeping back into our thoughts, keeping us up at night. When a story keeps you up at night, it's because you know you're still in it. This Devil's Night, we hope that anarchists continue to gather around the bonfires they set and tell ghost stories of their own. Every time we see your smoke signals, we smile because we know the veil is thinning. And whenever something keeps you up at night, carry it someplace with you, do what you need to, and get home safe. Good night, sleep tight, and may the fires you set keep the bastards up all night.
When someone comes at you with a rope, when someone comes at you with a gun, despite the fact that you've done nothing, he tells you, suffer peacefully. Pray for those who use you despitefully. Be long-suffering. And how long can you suffer after suffering for 400 years? convince the white public that the so-called Negro community is a criminal element, they can go in and question, brutalize, murder unarmed, innocent Negroes, and the white public is gullible enough to back them up.